morning, Lethbridge, Miss Simone Live. I took last Saturday off. I'm really looking forward. I do have Blaine Emerson from Bridge Bud Supply this morning. Thank you very much for coming.
No problem. Thanks for having me. Excited to be here.
I really was looking forward to doing the event, to do this interview with you. I thought, what a better way for the community to know other businesses, local businesses in town. And, being socially accepted or not, they're here. So can you tell our viewers how you came about of opening Bridge Bud Supply?
Yeah. So at Bridge Bud, there's 3 of us that all have part ownership, and it started right after Trudeau announced that they were going to pass Bill C-45, and that's when we were at my buddy's wedding, and we're both professionals, and we're both a little stagnant in our jobs. We're not passionate about our jobs like we used to be. So we looked at each other. We're like, "You want to just do this?" And we started going through the steps just to see how far we would get. And it took about 18 months to get through the process. And there were a lot of ups and downs to it. There's a lot of hoops to jump through. And basically you get to what you think is the end, and they'll throw up another 3 hoops. It's like, now you got to do this, this, and this. So it was just one of those things where 18 months, we got an investor, we got a lease on a building, we got our license, and here we are today, one of 7 stores in Lethbridge.
That's amazing, and it takes real guts to open a business that is so controversial, especially on social media. So if you can tell us, because I really believe we should inform the community about the laws and the standards when it comes to the cannabis law. Can you explain the laws of the Canadian laws for the cannabis?
Yeah, so I'll keep it kind of brief.
Sure.
So one of the most important things is keeping cannabis out of the hands of minors.
Yes.
Right?
Absolutely.
The next most important issue is impaired driving.
Okay.
Right? So they have made the laws for these quite strict. So it's as strict as after your 3rd offense, being caught under the influence of cannabis, you can be sentenced to jail. So it's definitely not something that you want to take part in.
Yes.
Selling illegally to a minor is up to 14 years in jail. So they have made it very clear that they're legalizing it for the right reasons, which is part of the reason why we felt it was good to bring this industry to Canada.
Yeah, and it's great that it is kind of like regulated in that sense. Do you find that there was difficulties with the community when you opened? Was there any negative feedback when you were looking for that kind of community support, or?
So not really, to be honest. Lethbridge has been quite liberal. Okay. So they added cannabis to the smoking bylaws. So anywhere you can smoke a cigarette, you can smoke cannabis.
Okay, so even like the laws for, I know with smoking, you have to be so many meters away from a building and stuff, so that's exactly the same?
Yep. You also cannot smoke in places like parks, sporting fields, event centers, typical places where you're not allowed to smoke a cigarette. You couldn't just light up.
Yes.
Yeah.
As far as the possession of cannabis on you, how much can you have on you? What is the amount where it becomes legal for drug trafficking? Is that where they kind of put the line if you have to? Okay.
Yeah, so legally you can possess 30 grams of dried cannabis in public.
Okay.
So 30 grams of dried cannabis is a lot of cannabis.
So that's almost over an ounce, I would assume?
That's, just 2 grams over an ounce.
Okay.
Yeah, so basically that's what someone would smoke in 2-3 months type thing, right?
Yeah, absolutely. In someone's, in our perfect world.
Absolutely.
But I know there's some people that love to indulge a little bit more, so 30 grams won't go a long way.
Yeah.
So what are some of the things you offer in your store? What does a consumer expect when they first walk into your shop?
So I think the first thing that people find when they get into our store is that they're surprised. So before we opened, we went and toured legal cannabis stores in the States.
Oh, wow, that would have been fun.
So we drove from Las Vegas all the way up through California, through San Jose, and then went into Oregon, Washington, and back through Idaho into Canada. And we toured about 15 different stores. And what I found is the further you went north, kind of the lighter the security was, right? In Nevada, you were in a locked room with someone behind glass. You'd give them your ID. You'd sit in the waiting room.
Oh, wow.
They'd buzz you in, and then you're in a cannabis shop,
okay.
right? You'd leave, door would lock behind you, and everything's double-doored. when I was in Washington, Tri-Cities. That's where I found the store that kind of gave us the the inspiration for the look and feel. It's called Green to Go in Kennewick, if anyone ever wants to check it out. Great store. But you walked in and it was just a big open showroom. It was bright, long display cases, just kind of like a jewelry store.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, and I saw that and I'm like, this is what a cannabis store should be, kind of like an Apple store for weed. That was our exact vision. So when you walk into our store, you're going to see bright colors. You're going to be greeted by a friendly salesperson. We call them bud tenders.
Which is awesome. I think for some people, it could be, nerve-wracking to kind of go into a shop. I find, too, if people have been such a closet smoker or they just not aware what they're expecting when they go there, I think it's a relief when you have someone, hi, and welcome, at the front, because you're going in, and I went into a local shop the other day, and I was like, it was almost like nerve-wracking, like, what the heck's going on here? You know what I mean? Like, so what other things, like when you come in, you have your guest, and after that, what happens?
So the first thing they would do is they'd offer you a menu. So we carry a menu of what we have in stock with a price list, THC content, all the information you want to see right in one sheet in front of you. So really simple. And then they'll start asking you about what you'd want to use the product for, if you're more of a morning, evening type smoker, that type of thing, or if you've ever used cannabis at all. Yeah.
Do you find, because of what I experience, and I just want the viewers to know this because I think it's super important, don't expect to go into a cannabis store asking for medical opinions, correct?
Yes. So obviously we're not doctors. So we're not able to give any medical advice on any of the products or if they would be able to treat one thing versus another. What we can talk about is the expected associated feelings that you get by using the product.
Okay.
Right? So if it makes you feel happy or euphoric or relaxed, something along those lines.
When someone comes in, do you find they get overwhelmed? Like, how many types? So what kind of strains there are?
So there are basically two main genres of plant, you can call it, right? So there's your indica, which is typically a nighttime strain. They say couch. That's a good way to remember that.
I've never heard that before. That's awesome.
Indica couch. And sativa is more your uplifting feeling. So that's kind of more like a daytime, less foggy. But there's been so much crossbreeding between the strains that sativa and indica are really only describing the plants physically.
Okay.
So an indica plant is shorter, stouter, kind of looks like a kochia weed when dried, right? Darker brown, where a sativa plant is tall and airy, lighter buds, and a brighter colored green.
Like a bright green.
Yeah, more like kind of closer to neon, right?
Okay.
So you can have a sativa plant that produces 20% THC with a certain mix of terpenes, which are oils secreted by plants. They're in everything from lemons to cannabis. And different terpenes are going to give you different effects. It's called the entourage effect.
Okay.
So you can have a sativa plant that has high THC and the same terpenes as an indica plant that has high THC and the terpenes in the same quantity. So indica and sativa is becoming a little outdated now with just all the crossbreeding between strains.
So would you guys call that hybrid?
Yes.
It's, for so many years, I had no idea, and I feel kind of dumb, but until I went into, one of those local stores, I was had no clue about hybrid. I honestly didn't, because I associated for so many years just with those two that I had no idea that there was such thing as cross-straightening.
Absolutely. Yeah, so they can almost design the plants to give desired effects. So that's something you can ask your bud tender about when you come into Bridge Bud. We actually have a list of all the dominant terpenes and what those terpenes, what feeling you'll get from them. So we're very versed in finding the right product for the right feeling. But at the end of the day, all cannabis is fun. Yeah. Right?
Yeah. At the end of the day, there's always kind of a purpose why people smoke it. What other things do you offer at your store? Do you have oil? Do you have pills? Do you have,
Absolutely.
What do you have there?
So for cannabis products, what we offer is increments in 7 grams, 3 grams, 1 gram, and pre-rolled or dried flower. And then we have consumable oils.
Okay.
So it's dissolved in, THC or CBD is dissolved into a coconut oil, or some of them are grapeseed oil, so it's completely consumable. So that is, in essence, the building block to make your own edible, right? So you can use that oil
For cooking or
absolutely,
anything?
yeah. You can put it in your coffee. You can cook your eggs with it. You can put it into baking and make your own consumables.
Is the oil in capsules or is it in vials or
in both actually?
in both? Oh, okay.
Yeah. So the capsules are for those people that typically aren't cannabis users, but they understand some of the effects are going to be positive for them. Right?
Like the body with arthritis and I found that I was doing some research and stuff, and there's this lady, she's 65, bad rheumatoid arthritis, and she does edibles, and it helps her with her arthritis and stuff. So she talks about it a lot and what it does. I think the smoking cannabis have been in my life for such a long time, and a very close girlfriend of mine, her son got diagnosed with stage 4 cancer at 13, and she started letting her son eat the oil and start smoking and stuff, and it made such a difference for him, especially going through chemo and everything like that. I found that the cannabis has evolved so much in life, and the acceptance of it. It's like we started the Woodstock, right? And then we went kind of like super conservative in the years, and then all of a sudden not so conservative. That's a little bit more socially accepted. It's nice to have something like that be open for the laws, and so people can be educated and people
Absolutely.
Can go in and maybe find another solution or a temporary relief from different things that they're suffering with.
Absolutely. So education, you said it best right there. So that's one of the most important things, especially with educating our youth, right? Because cannabis acts on your endocannabinoid system, which is not fully developed until the age of 25.
Oh, really?
So if you begin using cannabis at a younger age, it is more likely to build a dependency to it, because cannabis is not addictive, it is habit forming. So the younger you start, the harder it is to break, basically, and it can cause a dependence.
Yeah, it's a good point that you made that, and I'm learning so much just sitting here. Over time, like I'm a smoker, right? I relied on that instead of taking pills for depression and PTSD and all of these things. But it is, habit forming. I relied on that instead of taking these pharmaceutical drugs to what they consider help me. And in the end of the day, all of these like antidepressant stuff that the doctors are giving you makes you kind of worse. And for myself, makes me worse. But when I notice that habit forming, because it's one thing that I run to when I'm stressed, and I can't cope with my heart palpitations and these kind of things. So run all the time, right? Because it's the habit that I've taught myself for relief of dealing with things.
Exactly. And in those situations, like basically, it's always best case just to talk to your doctor about that type of stuff, right?
Yeah.
Make sure that you're getting at least the care that you're looking for, that they can point you in the right direction, right?
I was always open with my doctor. I've had a doctor for like 10 years in town, and I gotta love him to bits, right? Because like I said on the show before, I'll always be an addict, right? I might not be in like deep active addiction, but I still smoke cannabis, right? So I'm still an addict, right? And he's like, "You're an addict," and I'm like, "I know." And I said, he's like, "So have you ever tried to quit?" And like, I've had to try and quit. And and I said, so, before the laws came out, right, and trying to get a medical card in order for these things, and it was difficult. It was really difficult because there are some medical, practitioners out there that don't believe that it's a helpful situation.
Well,
so
it is a new world. So again, back to education. So the healthcare system and the governments, the federal and provincial governments, they're putting money into research.
Yeah.
So we're just going to learn more as time goes on, right?
Do you from you don't have to ask this or answer this. From when you guys first started the process, what was the process to get your own store? Like, did you have to take classes? Did you have to go through screening and all this?
Oh, absolutely. So the screening process is quite rigorous. So to begin with, the application is over 100 pages. And it asks everything from your family history to your financial history, and they just really dig into you, which, for me, I think is a smart thing. They want to make sure that they have the right people on the bus, right, for the legal cannabis industry. So anyone that had prior drug convictions, anything along those lines, they would be denied an application.
Which is justly so, right?
Yeah.
I think you need to still have that structure and still have those laws to follow by. Do you change your product? Does your product change, or do you have the same product all the time?
So basically, the provincial government sets up the contracts with the licensed producers,
Okay.
right? It's set up exactly like the alcohol industry, so it's not very different from owning a liquor store. So basically, we're given an order sheet from the AGLC each week, and that has all the products they have available to sale to the wholesalers. So we have our choice on what we can bring in, and as we get more and more growers, because the federal government has actually released a new growing permit, a cultivation license, where it's anything below 2,400 square feet can be called a craft grow. They've expedited the process to get licenses, and then you would be able to in turn follow all the guidelines set out by the federal government for testing and safe consumption and things along those lines, packaging, and you'd be able to in turn sell your product wholesale to the provinces, because each province will make their own contracts with different producers. So as it sits right now, you might be able to get a different product in Nova Scotia than what you get in Alberta.
Which makes sense because, that the cannabis out west is very different from the cannabis out east over time. I've noticed that. Is that because of climate? Is it because it's just
Most
different?
likely,
Okay.
yeah. So most of the stuff you would get that's like been grown in BC, like in the previous years before legalization, is typically a Kush.
Okay.
Right? So that's an indica, so indica. So usually it's very heavy, very sedating.
I love that word,
Yeah.
indica.
Yeah, it's a popular one around the store as well. But most of the legal cannabis is cultivated indoors.
Okay.
So it's grown under specific conditions to ensure that there's no contaminations from other pesticides, bugs, molds, anything that can harm the health of a user. Right? So that's one thing that is very important with legalization is every product is tested.
And,
So-
and you know where it's coming
Exactly.
from.
Yeah. So you know exactly what the composition is for THC versus CBD, and you also know that it's been through tests to ensure that there's no foodborne illnesses, molds, anything that's going to make
Which can
you sick.
happen, right? Because you kind of
Oh, yeah,
you
it's
need
a
that
plant,
moisture,
right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Another question I had for you, do you have any other things besides the supply? Like, do you supply grinders? Do you supply
Absolutely.
tools and all of that
Yeah.
kind of stuff?
So one thing about our store is, like I said, first thing that we think of, the word that want to describe us is class.
Yes.
So you'll walk in and everything are
Eye-catching.
Yeah, so it's in like glass display cases, and we really try to bring in some higher end products. So when it comes to vaporizers, bongs, things along those lines, we want everything to have kind of a clean look. So it's a different feel than if you were to walk into our friends down the street, Bob's, right?
Yeah.
So it's not quite a head shop. It's more, Apple store or jewelry store for weed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was going to come down there. I really apologize for that. It was freezing out.
We'll get you next time.
Oh yeah, so I plan on coming to do a little interview and stuff for. Woo, there I go again doing a chair dance. As long as you're not falling off. What time? When is your store open? How can people check you out? Do you have a page and a website?
Yeah,
those kind of things?
so go check out our Instagram. So I'm going to throw a little plug out to my
all right,
girlfriend,
hold
Kelsey.
on. I'm going to do this while you talk. Go ahead.
Okay, so my girlfriend Kelsey, she is our Instagram manager, and she does an amazing job. So you can go on there, you can see the products we carry, some fun little quips. We also have some informational stories that you can click through at the top, and you'll see pictures of what it looks like in our store. So it's just Bridge Bud Supply at Instagram, or at Bridge Bud Supply. That's the one.
Can you, on your Instagram and stuff, can they just look into the shop? Can people order from, or how does that work?
So right now there is no e-commerce allowed.
Okay.
So it's
Okay.
it's kind of like how there's no more dial-a-bottle type thing.
Yes.
Right? So the only place where you can order online is through the AGLC's online store. So you can get all the different products there. Some of the products are only available there. For example, seeds. There's really no seeds available for the retail stores, but you can get them on the website. So it is a little bit more challenging to sign up. You have to have a valid credit card. You have to upload a picture of your ID, and then you have to wait on shipping. So that's why it's a new world, right? With a retail store, people are excited to come in. They're excited
absolutely.
for the opportunity to experience what a store is like.
And I think, you know, with the legalization and all these, you know, cannabis stores popping up, it's an experience.
Absolutely.
It's not just like you're going shopping, you're like, holy shit, I'm walking in here and this is an experience,
Absolutely.
right? The host and all these things, and it makes it engaging and to talk with someone about product and about, you know, the real truth and stuff to go into a place, it's exciting.
Absolutely. So that's one of the biggest things that we focus on at BridgeBud is service, right? I come from a sales background. My partner, Brad, he comes from a retail background. He actually managed Sport Check in town for like 12 years.
Oh, wow, that's awesome.
Yeah, so Brad came over, and the biggest thing that we do to differentiate ourselves is the level of service our customers get. So we have bud tenders on the floor. So their job is only to answer your questions, show you the menu, absolutely, right? And then we take you to the till where our cashiers, their job is to tell you about the store, promotions, deals, memberships, things along those lines.
So you do have promotions and stuff like this. You do have deals? Like how often does that happen? How do you go about to see these deals?
So typically what we've been doing a lot of right now are Facebook and Instagram giveaways, just to kind of get the word out, because there are certain things we're not allowed to sell in the store.
Yes.
Right? So anything that has animals, people, cartoons, or merchandise, anything that's not cannabis related, basically, and consumption of cannabis specific, right?
I might have to check out your giveaways and stuff like that.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm very open to. I think I was so scared for so many years, like being a smoker, and that everybody's looking at you when it wasn't legalized.
Yes,
People are looking at like, how dare you? How dare you do this?
Yeah, break the
Right?
law. You're making me an
law.
accessory.
Right? And you know what? Still to this day, like if I'm outside smoking and there's a mom with kids, I put it out until they walk by.
Absolutely.
I just do. I have a son, you know, like I'm like, he does like weed, like this is smokes, right? This is smoke. But I still subconsciously, even though it's the law, I still have respect for others around me.
Absolutely.
If it sounds really
Yeah.
weird, but it's like, kids, okay, well, I'll put it out, right?
Absolutely, and you know, pot smokers, we have common decency as well, right?
Yeah, absolutely. It's not like we're lighting up, you know, in front of the store, like, hey.
Yeah, and one thing now that it is becoming more accepted, right? So, like you asked before, did we see any real animosity towards us, anything like that? Not really, but there are people out there who don't agree with it.
Of course, and there's always
that's
going to
fine,
be,
yeah.
right? There's always going to be a naysayer. There's always going to be someone that doesn't agree with it, and that's fine. And that's what's great about Canada. We have a freedom of speech. We have a freedom to feel the way we want. And a reason why I asked that is because remember when the laws were coming into effect and all that controversial stuff, you know, that was on social media, and it's like, that's why I wanted to bring on, you know, BridgeBud Supply, because like people sometimes aren't educated, especially with the cannabis things. So if we can enlighten the community and the public and get people to support you too, right, with your business, because in the end of the day, they're a new business. They're in
and
our
we're
community.
local guys, right? Like Chase and I are both from the area. I grew up on a farm about 50 kilometers north of here, and Chase is from town. His dad used to be a detective with the police.
Oh, wow.
So
you guys kind of got great support and kind of an educational support for that.
Absolutely, yep. So, you know, the challenges, they've been more time consuming, and, you know, it kind of wears on your psyche a little bit.
Yes.
But all in all, it's been a great ride.
Do you have, like, is there government regulations where they come into the store, where they make sure there's the licensing? Like, is there a licensing aspect now with a different separate license for it?
We do have to renew our license every year.
Okay.
We get a typical business license just like any other business, but then we have a license from the AGLC to become a cannabis store. So it's the same thing that you would see in any
For a
restaurant,
liquor
bar.
license or
You
something.
betcha. So yeah, like I said before, cannabis is not much different than the liquor or the tobacco industry, right? There's people who agree with it, there's people that don't, and kind of each to their own.
Yeah.
We might as well be selling this product legally so that it's regulated,
Yes.
and that we get some services, right? Because the taxes that people are paying on the product, it goes to the provincial and the federal governments, which I don't like paying more taxes, but
it is what it is,
it
right?
is what it is. And
It's definitely not a
going
free
to-
service, right?
Exactly. So it's going to help our roads, our schools, our healthcare, our police. So
Yeah, exactly.
why not, right? If we're going to have alcohol legal and tax it, why not do the same with cannabis?
I absolutely agree with that. So is there different laws in different provinces for the cannabis laws?
Yes.
Okay.
So each province sets their own age of use, right?
Okay.
So anywhere from 18 to 21. And other than that, it's pretty well spread across the board with the same amount you can carry province to province, right? Things like that. It's really just they set their own age limit.
Is there anything specific you love to tell our viewers about your store? Like, how long has your store been around?
So we opened November 29th was our grand opening.
Oh, so just last
Yeah,
year?
just a couple
Sweet.
months. Yeah, so we just rolled over, or we're coming up on our 3-month anniversary. So one thing is we're a little bit tough to find. We're in the old Blarney Stone building, so that's right next to Cool Dental, same building, across the street from 7-Eleven on Mayor McGrath Drive South. So come on down and see us. We're open 10 until 10 Monday to Saturday, 11 to 6 on Sunday. And yeah, typically either myself, Chase, or Brad, one of us is there all the time. So you'll always get a chance to speak with an owner, ask questions, and just get the real experience of what a cannabis store should be.
And that's awesome for you guys' customer service and how you guys are so passionate about that. We're on a personal note. Were you educated in the cannabis before you decided to come up with this idea,
Well,
or did you have to I know that you said-
educated.
educated.
So basically, we do in-house training,
Okay.
and we do it weekly.
Okay.
And leading up to the store being open, we had different LPs come in and do training for us, and then we also use some online portals. So the AGLC also requires you to do some training.
Yes.
One is your Cell Safe, which is the Ying to ProServe's Yang. So it's basically the same thing that you would do
Okay.
to
Yeah,
sell
because
liquor.
I have my ProServe and my ProTech and my Real
You
Facts.
bet, yeah.
So now, if I was interested in being a cannabis educator or salesperson, then I'd have to
Salesperson,
go
yeah.
salesperson, and then I'd go and get something totally different.
Absolutely,
Interesting.
Cell Safe, yep. So we go through that, and then you do have to be QCW approved. So anyone who works in a cannabis shop is going to have a background check done, and then they're going to have to go through basically a supervisor who reviews the file, make sure that there isn't anything that they missed, right, and then they get approved that way.
I think it's important that you guys are so diligent on getting people in there and so diligent on making sure that your business is running by law, but making sure that the consumer and the client that's going to come in is going to leave satisfied.
Absolutely.
It sounds like you guys had to go through so much work to get to this point.
Yeah, and we've gotten lucky in some cases as well, because there are still, like, some of our peers in the cannabis industry who have who have an application in that isn't finally approved, a lease on a building, and a build-out that's finished, who haven't been able to open their doors yet. So we were extremely lucky to get in under the licensing freeze. And we were also really lucky with our staff. Like, we are so blessed to have the people that we have. Most of them, they were fairly easy to find. They were referred to us by people we know.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah,
That's really
and-
nice. It's kind of helping.
Absolutely. And then we have a few gems that just came to us by chance. Like Steve Gerwin. He used to work at Bob's for 12 years. He now works at Bridge Bud Supply. So anyone who knows Steve,
Oh, so
you
that's
can
where
come
he
down.
is.
Yeah.
I was wondering where
Yeah.
he was because I was
Yeah,
like,
absolute godsend, Steve. And then Cassandra Allenby, she has done most of our branding and
Oh,
anything
nice.
you see up on the walls or handouts, flyers, anything like that that you'll see in store. That's done by Cassandra, so she's done an amazing job, menus, everything along those lines. And then with our bud tenders, like, we just have so many educated people, like Josh, Sandy, Austin, Jeremy. Oh man, I don't want to
sounds
leave
like a
anybody
family.
out.
I know.
And that's
The familia at Bridge Bud
absolutely, yeah.
Supply.
Yeah, and we're a tight crew, right? So
Exactly.
yeah, Janelle, Emily. Oh, now I'm gonna forget someone. They're
Hi,
gonna be-
everybody.
Dylan, Brad. I don't want to forget anybody.
That's
Emily.
pretty good.
Second Emily, sorry.
Oh, two Emilys. That
Yeah,
was
two
your
Emilys.
confusing name.
Elise. Yeah.
So, how many staff do you have there?
So we are sitting currently at, I believe, 18 staff. So there's only 2 full-time, and then there's Brad and myself who are in store every day. So we do the managing right now. We're preparing to promote someone in store, so it's exciting times for us right now,
Yeah,
coming
I
up
bet
on
you
our
kinda
3-month
searching
anniversary.
out and stuff.
Yeah, and then we have what would the math board code on that to be? so 14 part-time. So they work as much as 1 day a week to 4 days a week type thing.
That it sounds like such a positive experience.
Oh, it's so much fun.
You definitely have to go, and not only that, but Bridge Bud Supply. Like, what a name.
Oh, absolutely. Like,
what a name. Supporting our local community.
And we love that bridge. Like, you'll see on our website, on our Instagram page, like, we use the bridge a lot. Like, I love the bridge. And going down and walking in the coulees, like, that's one of my favorite things to do in the city.
Yeah, I have so much fun being in Lethbridge and seeing all of these people taking big risks to open something that's so amazing, I think. To be open to finally to the public and be able to have that some sort of freedom, which I think smoking is kind of a sense of freedom in some sense. Like for myself, I'm not hiding down a dark alley smoking anymore, right?
Yeah, it's a new world, and it really is liberating for people. Like we hear that so often that hey, it's a new world. So that's one of my favorite things to say when people come in the store.
It's a new world,
yeah, it's a new world that we're living in. So
absolutely,
yeah.
and as much as some people might not accept it, it's here, right?
Exactly.
In the end of the day, you could take the grain of salt and you can take it into a positive, perspective or not, right? So
yeah, and remember there was prohibition on alcohol at one point too. And that's one thing that me and the partners see this store as is a long-term venture, right? If you could own one of the first liquor stores after Prohibition ended, you'd probably want to be on that boat.
So were you one of the first stores in Lethbridge for
so we were the 5th store to open.
Okay.
We did miss the October 17th deadline, so we decided to close our doors for a little longer and stockpile some inventory. So that way, we have heard a lot about shortages with product and things along those lines, but we have plenty of product and plenty of variation. Like we have 2 8-foot-long display cases that are just filled. Like we have more than 60 strains out on display. So.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah, so
that sounds like a Candyland dream over there for some people.
It's pretty exciting. So one of the biggest things is the federal government has said that they have more than enough stock coming down the pipeline. We do have other provinces coming online with more stores, though. So Ontario currently does not have any stores. BC only has a handful. So there's 100 stores right there that are going to be opening sometime before July. So supply could be an issue. That's why we chose to, act like squirrels and kind of store all of our nuts.
For hibernation.
Yes.
Yeah, which is a smart kind of business move, because especially when something new like that happens, and I heard of stories like people waiting 5 hours in the lineup when they first opened. I was like, oh my gosh.
So this is going to be a good opportunity to make fun of Chase. So we saw the lineups, and we were expecting, we weren't expecting, we were wishing and dreaming to be open by the 17th.
World, yes.
So in preparation, we bought these stanchions with these plastic chains that go between them. Just real ghetto looking, not like the nice ones you see on the red carpet. So comes and goes. The time of waiting in line for weed is far gone. It didn't really last that long once there was a couple options. I think the big thing was it was that liberation, right? It's like, weed's legal today. I don't mind standing outside and talking to a bunch of other people who are excited about this in the lineup. So it was, I wish I could have done it, but I was hard at work trying to get my store open that day.
Exactly.
So we drove past the lineups, and we got these stanchions brought in, and they're just completely useless. They just look really ghetto. So if anybody needs some stanchions, come on down to Bridge Bud.
I might grab those for my events from you guys.
Yeah,
so.
you can borrow them. I don't mind
at
all. Yeah.
Perfect.
If they fall off
it's
the
going to be
truck,
a new relationship here, business relationship happening.
Yeah.
I definitely have to come down and check your shop out.
Yeah, come check us out. Like, you're going to be blown away by the look and feel of the place. We've been told by multiple people, even AGLC inspectors, that we have the nicest store in Alberta, not just Lethbridge.
That's such a great confident booster for your business when you have like business professional be like, just to let you know.
Absolutely, yeah. And I think the time and effort we put into researching our store before we opened is really what kind of gave us one of those advantages.
I'm really excited for you guys, and I appreciate you coming and doing an interview with me, and I hope to have you back on the show sometime.
Absolutely. I appreciate you having me. Thank you so much.
Yes, I really appreciate it. Just to let everybody know, we are on www.justfm.ca. You can catch us live as well on YouTube. add us on Facebook. You see absolutely all our amazing producers and hosts. You get a little bit of dabble of everything on Jess FM. Definitely check me out. I do have a fundraiser I am organizing for the Amethyst Project. I'm bringing We Are Robots down from Calgary. There will be ticket sales. I'm excited to build the hype on You Are Not Alone event at Hudson's for 27th of April.
Oh,
I'm
nice.
hoping I can send you a couple tickets.
Absolutely.
And staff come down and have a good time with us.
Beautiful. We're in.
Awesome. Thank you so much again for coming
Thanks
on.
again.
Thanks, everybody. Thanks,
Thank
Lethbridge. Have a
you.
great weekend.
Bridge
Peace out.
Bud.